So we ended up putting in 4 outdoor water connection spigots, one by the well house, one on either side of the shipping container, one for the garden and then one for the RV hookup underneath the shipping containers. And then one out at the house site so that we'll have access to water when we're doing construction work out there. I also ran water inside the well house over to the washer. So I got 5 connection points that I made, and right now I'm just waiting on the PVC glue to dry completely, and then I'm going to turn on the water and purge out the lines and check for leaks. So I have all my water lines run, and I'm ready to make the connection in the well house. So this is the connection that I'll be connecting to, and I've just made this little manifold that I will be connecting right into there. Here's the 1-inch PEX coming in. I will connect it with a 1-inch PEX to PVC shark bite fitting there, and then this line here will come up, come out the wall for a spigot, and this will go up and over to the washer.
So if all goes well, we'll have a functioning washer and dryer in the next couple of days. So that'll be super awesome. He's had to figure out where to run the line, so he decided to run it across the top and down to here. So he has the water line brought down here to our house site. We're going to see if it works, and then Red's going to go around and check all the connections and see if any of them are leaking. There it is. Got the electric line going to the well house now, and hoping to get that all hooked up so that we can all have constant running water without having to start up the generator. Today is Saturday, April 24th. I'm about to sort my laundry. So Red is in there making the final electric connection to where we'll have electricity and water and power in the well house, and the washing machine is already hooked up. Exciting stuff. Once he gets this all hooked up, he'll be able to start burying the trenches. He'll start doing laundry. We'll see how our solar does running the dryer. So he was able to get a wire that'll go to the well house, but not the stuff that will go to our house. So that's the wire that's supposed to be in next week. So he won't be able to bury this trench until he gets the rest of that wire, and that's just the trench going to our house site. Here's the washer and dryer all set up in the well house. We'll try to use the dryer just for small stuff, although we're going to have to see how it does with the solar. Try it on different settings and see how much of a drain it is. It's got all the connections made and has this big wire coming into the power box here. The batteries are pretty much fully charged. Is that the last connection?
Yep. All right, All right, so this wire coming in is the Wellhouse coming in, and so off of this wire we're going to be charging the pump, the washer and dryer, and then also a light and an outlet out there in the Wellhouse. So quite a bit on this. It's a 30 coming into a 30 amp breaker here. So it's all wired. I'm about to open up the main breaker and check voltage, and then I'll go out and check it in the Wellhouse. All right, main voltage is on. I'm going to check voltage across here. Seeing anything? Oh, I don't have it open yet. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this breaker, and I should see individually. I should see 120 on each pole, which I do. 240. Looks good. I'll go out and check it in the Wellhouse. Okay, before I turn the pump on, I just want to check that it has the correct power coming in, and check that we're all good there. So look good. Check and make sure we got 240. Okay, voltage is looking good there. So this is all looks like a horrible mess, I'm sure, and most electricians would be appalled, but it's all right. And one thing that I learned about grounding is that a sub panel needs to have the ground disconnected from the negative. Normally your negatives and your ground go into the same bar, but that should not happen in a sub panel. Otherwise you can get excess current traveling back on your ground wire. So I disconnected my grounds from the negative terminal bar, and I created another ground bus bar that's connected to the case that goes back separately. All right, going to turn on the pump. It's on, already kicked on, and it's pumping. So that's all working. We now have well water off of the solar. No more generator.
So I have the first load of laundry in, and I'm ready to start it up and try it out. I'm hoping the dryer will work, and that we'll be able to put it in the dryer. So we've got it on cold. We only have cold water over here. I'm going to hit start. Starting to fill, and we'll see how it does.
We also ran an extra wire over to the Wellhouse that we can run a separate DC circuit on in case we decide that we want to run the well pump on DC sometime in the future. It would also just be a nice backup security measure to have in place so that we could run it on DC if the inverter went bad.
So I'm going to go ahead and ground each of the shipping containers. Since they are up on blocks and not actually sitting directly on the earth, it's a good idea to ground them. And in fact, I do have wooden shims between the blocks and the shipping containers, so they are isolated from the ground. And you know, if there was to be a lightning strike and I happened to be stepping off of the shipping container onto the ground, I could be electrocuted if that happened at the right time. So it's a good idea to ground them. And so what I've done here is I've driven a ground rod into the ground. I actually had a hole that I was digging here in order to add some more anchoring to the shipping container. And that hole is 3 feet deep, so it kind of gave me a head start because these are 8-foot long ground rods that you have to drive completely into the ground. And then I'm going to connect a piece of this heavy gauge copper wire to the shipping container. I've just drilled a hole in the side of this bottom I-beam, and I'm going to go ahead and grind the paint off so I get a good contact, and then I'll make the connection. Okay, I'm just making the connection to the shipping container here. I've ground the paint off this. I'm getting a good contact here. I'm just going to bolt it through. I do have a lock washer on the back nut here, so it'll remain tight. All right, I want to talk a little bit about the grounding for my system, and I just want to start off first by saying most people consider this grounding stuff to be kind of the black magic voodoo. You really can't get anybody to give you straight advice on it, and so I'm not giving straight advice either. Do your own research, and I'm just showing you what I did. So this green wire coming in through the top here is connected to all the solar panels up top, and so it's grounding and bonding all those together, and it's coming in, it's going through a surge protector. That's those orange things in the middle. The surge protector will dump power to ground if it has an issue. Then it comes over here, and it grounds both of these cases, your solar charge controller cases. And so what we're doing there is we're bonding the system together. Bonding is when you connect the components of a system together. So these two cases are bonded, and then it comes down around. There's also a bond cable going up to the inverter and connecting to the main ground lug on the bottom of the inverter. And then it comes down, and right now I have it going out the bottom, and it's grounded to a ground rod underneath the shipping container, and it's also bonded to the shipping container itself. And so I'm about to make my last connection, which is basically to the batteries or to the negative part of the system. And through study, I found that you should do that upstream of your BMS. At first, I was going to connect them directly to the negative terminal of the batteries, but I found out it actually needs to be upstream of the BMS so it doesn't interfere with the BMS's function. So I think I'm going to do it right here, just upstream of the breaker. So that'll be my last connection, and then I should be done with the ground system for the DC side.
So this is our laundry setup. We put a rod going across over the washer and dryer to hang clothes. That way we don't have to put them outside and worry about things blowing away or falling off. So it works really well just to hang socks and rags and stuff on hangers. And then I also have a place over here to hang stuff. And then t-shirts that are folded, I just hang over laundry baskets until they dry. And when it's warm, everything dries pretty quickly. If I just leave it overnight, by the next day, it's usually dry. We did learn that the dryer takes pretty much all of our power. It's an old dryer, so it uses 5,700 watts out of our 6,400 watt system. So it was a good test for the inverter, but it's the only thing we can run if we run the dryer. But it's just an old, out-of-date dryer, so we can live without it. It actually works okay if we just use the air dry. I just put some tape on there to keep the kids from accidentally turning on the dryer. So I just tumble it around on air dry for 15 minutes or so, which uses about the same amount of power as the washing machine, which I'd have to ask Red exactly how much that is. And then that just keeps everything from being super wrinkled. And then the air dry option doesn't use all that much power, so it works pretty well. Just hang everything up in here, let it dry, and then bring it inside and fold it. So here's a little clue on how old our dryer is. So I have the clothes in the dryer on air dry. So we can head over to the solar room and see how it's doing. It just ran the washer and dryer. It's running the refrigerator. So it's about 9:30 in the morning. Just ran the washer and dryer. Or the dryer is just on air dry. So there's how the system is doing at 9:30 in the morning. It means we have 54 volts. So I guess that's all good and 100%. So here's what's going on over here with the charge controller. And here's this one up here. So it's all working good. We have plenty of power.